All right, everyone, we're going to get started here in a moment. Appreciate you coming to this session. Thank you so much. I am JT the Brick. I work for the Las Vegas Raiders. Been working with them. This will be my 27th season with the team. John, can you get that door? Well, some people are coming in. And also Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. I've been a syndicated sports talk host here in Vegas for around the same time, 27 years. And I'm really excited to be here at SEICon from Sean Garrity and my friends, and to be in my hometown where I didn't have to get on a flight and travel here and just to come out here. And I think this is going to be great because we're going to discuss iconic athletes and the moment that becomes you here in this session. And what I think is so unique is, as I was studying up for this and getting ready, we have two really incredible stories from guys who are iconic athletes and have one of the best background stories of anybody you're going to meet, period, while you're in Vegas or in sports or traveling all around the country, because these two gentlemen have traveled all over the country, and they have both great stories and an inspirational message. I want to welcome Blaze Winter first, former NFL defensive end star player at Syracuse University, where he was the team captain, the team MVP, and he's a motivational speaker. Let's hear it for Blaze, please. And Dave Hansen is a well-known hockey player, and he was in one of the most iconic movies of all time, Slapshot, and he's got an incredible story. He traveled a long way to get here. Let's say hi to Dave. Dave. Gentlemen, I want to begin, and I'm going to start with you, Blaze, because I think your story about your early youth is incredible. There was a lot of adversity, medical issues, you were bullied as a young boy, but then your mom stepped into your life and had an early impact that is still with you today. If you could tell us the backstory about your early years before you became a star athlete and a motivational speaker.
Well, I believe that we're all very similar when it comes to not wanting to focus on what? The negative. Successful people don't want to focus on the downside. I was asked the question, so I'm going to answer the question, but I want you to know it's far behind me. I'm used it as motivation. Being born with a hole in the middle of your face is not fun. It's not something that anyone asks for. But you learn to embrace it because mama tells you, hey, God doesn't make garbage. And that was her line, that my mother does not believe that God makes garbage. And she would simply point out to a young boy, me, that, hey, man, you're not what you think you are. And in the long run, if you let it, it will build you. If you embrace it, it will make you a stronger person. You are brilliant people. You're accomplishing a lot of great things, and that is because you are embracing adversity. I tell my son, the great musician, you got to embrace it each day of your life. And he's in the music industry, which is, to me, 10 times worse than the athletic field currently. It's a tough field, and he's been at it for years, and I'm proud of him because he's embracing adversity. My mommy was always there to tell me to walk me down the road and even pull up in a car on the side of the field when I never wanted to play football. Everyone thinks I was after these since birth. I wasn't after these. I was all right with being what? Locked in a room in my mind, feeling sorry for myself. I was there every day. And who would pull me out? The 6'1", 275-pound happy hippo. That was my mother. A 275-pound happy hippo. And that came from the movie Fantasia. That's how old I am. The movie Fantasia has a bunch of dancing hippos, and there's my mom. So she refused to let me stay in the room, so she brought me to a field, and that's how football started. She threw me, in so many words, out of the car, and I told her how much I hated her, and my last words to her was, I hate you so much. And she said her last words to me before the coach brought me away to the playing field. The coach said, my mother said, well, I'll be here when you're done. And she smiled at me and said, go prove who you are. I'm very proud of that. And every one of you I'm proud of because I know how much you're fighting And if you embrace adversity, if you turn around and you look at it and embrace it and almost feel blessed that something difficult happened in your life, oh, the best is yet to come.
Love that. We welcome your son and your wife and your family too. Dave, I want to begin with your early youth. What was that moment for you as a young boy growing up in a hockey community where you got your start as an athlete, and who had that big influence for you early in your life?
Well, as Blaze well knows, and anybody, one thing about sports is it teaches you how to deal with adversity. And those that are successful in sports go through adversity. I grew up in an inner city, St. Paul, Minnesota, went to a city high school, three-sport athlete there, and played football, baseball, and hockey. Hockey was my least favorite. I had hoped to move on to play college football, and that was my goal, and then ended up with an injury my senior year, and through a series of events, ended up going to the University of Minnesota instead of going to the university to play hockey for Herbie Brooks, legendary Herbie Brooks, who wasn't legendary at that time, instead of going to play football at the University of Mexico. But the challenge for me was simply that being a three-sport athlete, inner city, high school, never skated on an indoor rink till I was a junior in high school. Then it was only high school football, high school hockey games. All our practices were outdoors. We had to make our own rink, we had to flood our own rinks, we had to shovel our own rinks. I manage a sports facility now, and I got a power skating coach where people play big pucks. They have their kids go out and have her teach them how to power skate. My power skating came along, which skating was the best part of my game, was pushing the shovel up and down the rink to shovel the snow. After in Minnesota, there's a lot of snow, and that's how I became a good skater. So, you know, the adversity of growing up in a St. Paul City conference that nobody came out of to go on to professional hockey, or even very few came out of to go on to play collegiate hockey, especially Division I. I was a very rare breed there. And just the fact that I had the opportunity, went to the University of Minnesota under Herbie, didn't make the team, got pissed off, short-sighted, decided, well, I'm going to leave the university and go play junior hockey, but I just continued to pursue my dream to play hockey at the highest level. And then it was a matter of a series of events that door open, door closed, go through that door, don't go through this door, that continue to lead me along the way.
Yeah, I love that theme today. When one door opens or closes, you walk through it. Blaze, to you, so you see the helmet, your mom leaves you, you start playing football at a very young age. When did you harness this power to realize you had the ability to play high school football, let alone make that journey to Syracuse and become an elite player?
I believe that's a great point. I mean, sort of high school is somewhat safe, and, well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but you can somehow hide in the mass. And eventually when the coach pulls you out and says, show me that again, or you find yourself on the first team, you know, you could put those same words into your own life. First team, you're out there in front, you're calling the shots. And, you know, you're now asked to move forward. You're asked to take a step, a leap of faith. And I built this momentum over 4 years of high school with a coach telling me, you know, you're pretty good. When my mom telling me, you know, I'm proud of you, you're doing a fine job. Now, my father was always working. And when he was home, hey, we dealt with domestic violence. That was hard. That was hard because then you question yourself. But I had a great support team. My mother and my coaches and my teammates started to say, man, you know, you're really something. They weren't judging me for speech. They weren't judging me for my looks. They were judging me for the things I did on the field. And I became empowered by the action that was taken. And I decided, hey, man, coach, I'm going to go play at Division I college football. And he sort of sat back and said, you know what this is? I said, I don't know. What are you trying to tell me? It's a bell curve. Tell me you fit in here. You're going to go play at Ohio State, Penn State, Pittsburgh, Syracuse? Yeah, I need your help. And he told me what a fool he would be to call those universities on my behalf because, are you that fast? Well, I'll get faster. Are you pretty strong? Well, I'll get stronger. You know, damn it, I was motivated, you know. I was motivated. I was believing in myself. And then I had somebody start to tear me down. Adversity was striking from the man I looked up to the most. I'm sure you've been hurt before. I'm sure you have been too. I know my son has, and I know my wife has. So we've all been in this. So it's up to you to what? Go home to the people you trust. And Mom said, I don't believe he would ever tell you that. Well, he did. He told me it wasn't realistic. It wasn't realistic, so accept the back of the line. Accept going play at junior college. No, I want to play at Penn State. I want to play at Pittsburgh. Mom, will you help me? First, I'll find out if this is true. And she did. And then she came home and said, you're packing your bag, and tomorrow morning we're going to Ohio State. Oh, yeah, well, you got a visit for me? No, we're going to start there and work our way back east to our home. I was turned down at Syracuse 3 times. 3 times Syracuse told me I wasn't good enough until I walked on. 4 years later, I was MVP. 4 years later, I was drafted the 35th player in the United States of America, where I went on to play 11 years in the NFL and wear a bunch of hardware that people said, hey, you won't amount to shit. And that's why the people that are around me can't help but get fed the realistic truth about their being capable of doing what you put your mind and body and soul into. I believe in that, and I'm forever grateful to more than my mother, more than my high school coach. An awful lot of people were a part of the journey. I never did it alone. And you will never do it alone.
Dave, let's jump into, you talked about Herb Brooks, what an iconic figure. What's the journey like to go from being a youth hockey player into the minors, and then this movie comes about? I think a lot of people in the room who know a little bit about your path, did you have to think about hockey as a full-time life decision for you when the movie came along? What was that like with the decision that, hey, I'm going to be involved in a movie with Paul Newman, which will go down in history as one of the greatest and most iconic sports movies of all time?
That was a great movie.
It was fantastic.
Well, if I knew now what you're saying back then, I probably never would have done it because I would have been scared shitless. But the path was simple for me. It was, I just continued to drive to play hockey. That was my love. When I got out of juniors, I had a fella who was actually a beat writer for the St. Paul Pioneer Press in St. Paul, Minnesota. Took a liking to me and actually introduced Herbie to me, and then Herbie knocked on my door, and of course anybody that lives in Minnesota wants to play for the Gophers, so it was me at 18-year-old. I'm at the University of Minnesota trying to make the hockey team. But when I left there and went and played junior hockey, and then my 2 years up in junior came, the beat writer out of St. Paul we had a team in Minnesota called the Minnesota Fighting Saints in the New World Hockey Association. And they convinced the GM there to sign me, sent me right to Johnstown, which was their farm team, a small steel city in western Pennsylvania, which again was a challenge because I remember the night I was driving into Johnstown after being in training camp up in Canada. We drove in at night, and here's a kid that the only trips we ever made was with the hockey team on our bus playing juniors to Fargo, Minnesota, or Minneapolis across the river, places like that. I'm suddenly going to Niagara Falls, Ontario, training camp, getting in a car, and driving into Johnstown, and literally going down. And if anybody ever heard about the Johnstown floods, you'll understand this. Going down into a valley at night and seeing flames shooting up out of these smokestacks and steel mills, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going into hell. Where am I going? So anyhow, it started out well. Minor league, I'm playing hockey, something I love. There was rumors, we went on to win a championship. we had a player on our team that was, his sister was a screenplay writer, and as he tells the story, one night he's on the phone to her while she's in L.A., and he's complaining to her about, man, you got to see this team I'm stuck with. We're in the mills, a steel mill town. The mills are closing. I play with these three guys. They're called the Carlson brothers. They wear black rimmed glasses, long hair. All they want to do is fight. And there's a guy on the team now called Dave Killer. And he's going on, telling her all the kind of things. And she said, well, and the team's being sold. He said, because that was the big rumors. The team's being sold, it's going to fold. And she says, well, who owns the team? Now, if you've seen Slapshot, there's an iconic line there by the little French goalie that says, who owns the team, owns it. Yeah. So that became a part of the script. But so she came down and followed us for a couple of weeks. Kind of a little fly on the wall, was in the bars with us, was at the apartments with us, this and that. And then we never heard from her. So one day we see her brother in the back of the bus, and he's talking into his hand. And we're thinking, you're really behaving pretty weird. What the heck are you doing? And what he was doing is he was sending her tape recordings of the antics that were going on day to day during our hockey season. So she literally wrote a script, sold it, Universal picked it up, they casted Paul Newman. There was room, and I was back the next season. I was back in Johnstown. And there was rumors that they were going to make a film about our year before. I'm taking a pregame nap in the playoffs, and there's a knock on my door. And I got two other roommates, and I'm waiting for them to go get it, and they don't get up. They sleep right through it, knocking. So I finally get up. I walk up. I'm in my underwear, my dirty, wrinkled white socks, and I open the door, and I says, what? And there's a guy standing there that looks just like Paul Newman in front of me. And he says, are you Dave? I said, yeah. He says, hi, I'm Paul Newman. I says, oh, yeah, I guess you are. Hey, hi, Paul. He says, oh, did I wake? I says, yeah. He says, I got a game tonight. And I says, why are you here? And he says, well, look, I got a bunch of guys from the art department. We want to know what a hockey player's apartment looks like. So someone said, you got to come over and look at yours. So here I am. I said, you mind we come in? I says, well, no, I don't mind, but I'm going back to bed. I got a game tonight. And I said, just make sure you lock the door. And I started walking away. I said, well, Dave, he says, while these guys are running around, you mind if I go watch TV a little bit because the race is on? I want to watch some race. I said, no, go ahead. I said, so I'll see you later. And then he says, Dave? He says, yes, Paul. You got any beer in the fridge? I said, yeah, there's beer in the fridge. Drink all the beer you want. Go watch your TV. Just make sure you lock the door when you leave. And that was my introduction to Paul Newman. And then suddenly the rumor started that they're going to make a movie called Slapshot about hockey. So later on, the casting directors came to us and said, myself and the other two brothers, because there's three brothers, Jeff, Jack, and Steve Carlson, that the Hanson brothers are written about. Jack got called up to Edmonton, playing in Edmonton, so it was the two brothers and myself. And they could not find actors that could skate well enough to play like professional hockey players. They casted Nick Nolte, John Travolta, all A-listed actors they want to have in these movies, but they couldn't skate. And so the recommendation or suggestion was, why don't you go back and have these guys see if they can play the parts of the Hanson brothers. They sat us in a room at a table like this, gave us a script, told us to read a few lines. We read the lines, and they were shocked that we could read, but we read the lines. And I really didn't think they were going to, we knew nothing about acting. We just read the lines. So literally, they made a decision to cast us as the Hanson brothers to start filming in a movie, Slapshot. And we literally started filming the movie while we were still in the playoffs. So we were days off, we would film. Game days, we would play. So that was kind of the start of how I got into Slapshot. Amazing story, amazing path. Blaze, as I come back to you, after MVP at Syracuse, you made so many friends. We got a Syracuse conference here. A lot of people know you. You get to the NFL, and I know some of the players you played against. You played against Hall of Famers. You were a great player. Give me the iconic moment for you when you put your head down at night and an NFL dream pops up and you're in it. What was that play, that game that you go back to?
You know what? People ask me about it. They realize that when you have to understand, I played at Syracuse with Tim Green. He went on to play in the NFL for 7 years with the Atlanta Falcons. He's written 54 books, I believe, to date. and the last 5 with ALS. I mean, I'm around a super intellectual person who was always giving us where to go when nobody knew where to go. I had Billy Pendop, the comedian, who always had a way of making me laugh, and he was a major part of my life at Syracuse. Jamie Kimmel was an all-state wrestler, and I found myself blending in with his family, coached by the one and only George O'Leary. And George O'Leary was that guy, that father I never had. So I was very, very fortunate to have all these things happening to me. But now you put the work in and you find yourself starting in the National Football League as a rookie, and you're in your last game against the Patriots. And you're like, man, this is the longest season you've ever been a part of. I mean, when you go from 11 games, I believe it was, to 16, you feel like, man, somebody shoot me. I'm beat to hell. I'm swollen everywhere. And I'm just want to get this one down. But, hey, man, you put your hand down in the dirt and you realize you better be ready because you're going to face John Hanna and Brian Holloway. These are Hall of Fame, 2 Hall of Fame players right next to each other, and I survived. And the season's over. My rookie year, I will end up being Defensive Rookie of the Year in 1984 for the Indianapolis Colts. And I would walk across the field with this sense of goosebump relief that I actually got through this. And at times I never thought I would. And who was coming toward me? The one that you would never expect to come my way. But that's what great people do. They come your way. They remind you that you are not going without being seen. And John Hanna was right there with his big collar, his big gnarly hands. And he shook my hand and he said, "Rookie, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right." And I'm like, you talking to me? He came my way. My way. And I think great leaders go down the stairs, across the hall, and they find those eyes that want to be something, and they make sure that they what? They don't go without being noticed. We have so many chances to empower people. We have so many chances from the playing field, from the stage, from the ice, to empower people. And I mean, that was, people say, what about breaking Joe Montana's ribs? What about running down, great quarterbacks and running backs? Marcus Allen, you hit so many times. Oh, John Elway, oh yeah, those are nice moments. There's nothing like hitting a quarterback and hearing him squeal like a pig. Now, again, my eyes start to turn back in my head, and he knows what I mean. It's just the nature of what we love and we're called to do it well. You roll your eyes back and you bite what is ever in front of you. And that's a mentality, that's a mindset, that's an approach toward life that I shall fight. Will you fight, Blaze? I will fight. I will fight to the day I die. I got a brain tumor, folks. I will motherfucking fight. And if I don't fight, who's going to fight? But man, it's sure nice to have a few of you say, "Hey man, you keep going." John Hanna. Hall of Fame lineman, man. I'll never forget that moment in the last game of my rookie year that would catapult me into, I can't wait to play next year. Those few words got me into what? I want to play. What about that bruise? What about that swollen knee? Fuck it. I can't wait. I'm sorry, I'm a little rough around the edges, but my wife knows it's hard to live with me, but I mean well. So don't misunderstand my bad words. I'm sorry, but every once in a while you let it go, huh?
Dave, that's unbelievable. Dave, I want to jump in. The movie's filmed. It seemed like it was reality. It was reality. They had to come to you and the Hanson brothers and say exactly what happened, how do we go here, maybe some spur of the moment conversations. The movie comes out, Siskel and Ebert gave it thumbs down. Take me from that point when you put all this work in. They use a lot of your stories from the car tracks and everything you were doing in the apartment, which made the movie. And then Siskel and Ebert gives its thumbs down, and you guys got to do press for it and hope it makes some money.
Well, a lot of young folks here won't have any idea what I'm talking about, but back in 1977, it came out in 77, there weren't, cable TV was barely existing. There weren't any DVRs or DVDs or VHSs or, anything to play it other than movies would go into theaters, take their 2-week run, and that was it. Maybe you'd see it back on TV later. You certainly weren't going to see Slapshot on TV. I mean, I think we set the record for F-bombs in Slapshot. Although I think we did, because of Slapshot, I think the word friggin' got invented to replace. But, so it was gone. It went through the theaters. It was gone. It got the poor reviews, and especially even in the hockey world. I mean, it was the guys that played the game loved it. They thought this is the way it really was, especially guys who are in the minors. The executives at the National League level and the GMs, just browbeat it and spoke poorly of it. In fact, Universal Studios liked it so much themselves, though. Even before we finished the movie and went and saw the premiere, they offered the Hanson brothers a 6-year, 6-movie deal. Now, here's the mentality of hockey players, at least it was mine. I'm not an actor. I want to play hockey. So instead of going to Hollywood and hanging out with hot chicks and making a lot of money, I'm going to ride a bus and stick around in the locker rooms and take showers with big guys. Figure that one out. But my passion was to play hockey. So it kind of went away. It went through the theaters. It went away. Of course, I would go into opposing cities, and they always wanted to do some kind of a story the local press did. Or I'd go and skate around in warm-ups in arenas that people that already hated me already, and I'd look up in the corner because they're yelling at me, and they got a whole section of people wearing the glasses with the fake nose and holding up the banners, Aggressive Hockey's back in town. So it really wasn't after I played 10 years pro. There was really not a big squeal about it. Every once in a while, someone from the other team line up next to me and say, "Hey, buy a soda after the game," which was a line from the movie, or they brought their fucking coys with them. But after I retired after 10 years, so it took another 10 years when the VCR and the VHSs came out, and suddenly Slapshot became like the top 3 most popular rented movie of all time, of all the top 3 movies. I think Animal House was first, and I don't know was second, and Slapshot was third. But then we got into our real lives, and I was a general manager of a team, a hockey team for the New York Islanders up in the Capital District, upstate New York. And Steve, my Hanson brother Steve, was a coach down in Memphis, Tennessee for a professional team, and Jeff was up in Muskegon as an electrician. And one day Steve calls me up and says, "Hey, I'd like to have you and Jeff come down." We hadn't seen each other for years as far as the 3 of us getting together. "I'd like to come down. My PR department is concerned that we're going to not have anybody come into the stands for this game on this particular date because the Southwest Basketball Collegiate Football or Basketball Championships are going on next to us. And so we'd like to get you guys together. We'll promote it internally as the Hanson Brothers Reunite to come out and drop a ceremonial drop of the puck and maybe sign a few autographs, and maybe we'll get a few people in the building." So we said, "Yeah, we got nothing to do." We went down there, suits, mustaches, short hair, dropped the puck. The place sold out. It was sold out. We sat and signed autographs for 3-4 hours afterwards. And he said, "Wow." I said, "This is pretty cool." So I asked Steve and Jeff to come to my place in Troy, New York, and see if I could duplicate the effort, and the same thing happened. My PR department put out on the AP wire about the Hanson brothers getting together. Next thing I know, the phone's ringing off the hook. "The Hanson brothers are still alive? Will you please come here? Will you please come there?" And so that kind of started that little bit of a run where the Hanson brothers got together. We decided to grow our hair out, and we started doing some things. And you talk about iconic moments. I mean, it was a series of iconic moments in my life to realize really what Slapshot is and what it means and what it can do and how popular it is. When we started hitting the road a few times, we went into Detroit. A small bar in Detroit wanted to have us come in and just make an appearance and hopefully get some people in the bar. And while we did that, surprisingly, there was a representative from Budweiser there who represented Bud Ice, but they were just kicking off the Bud Ice. The ice beer was a big thing at that time, and their market share was like third or fourth, which is unusual for Budweiser. He saw what we did. He approached us, signed us to a 2-year contract to promote Bud Ice. Now think about it. Hockey players are going to get paid to drink beer across the country. It was a dream job, right? Awesome. So we did that for a couple of years till my liver couldn't handle it anymore, and I wanted to spend a little bit more time. But we would go into arenas, and you just didn't realize the kind of impact we would. And when my first iconic moment was I'm in Madison Square Garden in between periods of a Rangers game, skiing behind the Zamboni. I'm thinking, I made it. This is it. Madison Square Garden. This is the moment. Then I go into Hartford, Connecticut, and we get dumped out of the bowels of a Zamboni at center ice. Oh, this is great. I'm living the dream. In St. Louis, and we're going down, we're getting ready to go up in an elevator to go up and do something else, and there's this big bellowing yell from down the hallway saying, hold it, hold it, hold it. And we're looking down thinking, oh no, it's a crazy fan. Let's get going, let's get moving. He's going, hold it. And these big guys running down. He gets in there, he's huffing and puffing. He says, I can't believe it. The fucking Hanson brothers. It was John Goodman.
Oh, man.
John Goodman, which was not then suddenly not an unusual thing where we're finding celebrities are wanting to take pictures with us. We go into the Los Angeles Forum to help raise money for the Children's Hospital, and they got Keanu Reeves, Kiefer Sutherland, Dave Cloutier, Michael Myers, and all these Hollywood celebrities, and I'm just starstruck looking around, and they're coming up to me saying, can I get a picture with you? Can I get a picture? And I'm thinking, holy shit. I said, so,
wow.
Those are the kind of things that just kind of blew my mind early on in the early stages of realizing what the Hanson brothers and Slapshot really was doing out there. And then, as I said, there was iconic things that kind of went on. It was like, okay, it's North America, right? We go into Quebec, and we're swamped, and anywhere in the States. Although you go down to the border of Mexico and Texas, and suddenly, you got an arena full of, surprisingly, mostly Mexicans, and they're wanting your autographs.
Amazing. Wow.
So we get a call from a concussion foundation out of Toronto saying, hey, could you help us? We're going over to Germany. Would you please be willing to go along with us to help us raise concussion awareness? We're trying to spread the word around places and make a footprint there. And we said, yeah, sure, why not? Never been to Germany before, didn't know what to expect, and really expected very little. I mean, I kind of said to my brother, I says, who the hell's going to know us in Germany? So we go over 5 cities in Germany. Every arena is sold out.
That's amazing, man.
And for 4 or 5 hours after every game, we sat and signed autographs. The people that couldn't speak English, I had no idea what the hell they were saying, but they were laughing their heads off, asking us to sign the DVD or the pictures and this and that. So we did that actually twice. It was so popular. But what really blew my socks off was later on, now this is years later, I got asked by the same concussion program, we want to make a footprint in Australia. Would you come to Australia? I said, Australia? Is there even hockey in Australia? So, oh yeah, there's a little bit of hockey down there, but we'll get a bunch of guys together and we'll play these exhibition games and we'll go to 5 cities and it'll be a chance for you to see Australia, to go to Perth and hang out with the kangaroos and et cetera, et cetera. Did that. Every arena sold out. But what blew my socks off, what I really, and this is the true iconic moment for me, I don't know about anybody else, but Melbourne was the last big city in Australia, and they really wanted to make a big deal out of it. So they invited Wayne Gretzky to come. Now, for anybody that's not a hockey aficionado, let me tell you that Wayne Gretzky is considered by many to be the best hockey player ever to live. He holds almost all the records. So they brought him in, we play a little exhibition game, we have a reception afterwards. They They line me up at a table here, they line up Wayne at a table over there to take pictures and autographs. My line is going down and out the door, and Wayne's got a couple people in line. I'm going, don't you know who that is? They're going, yeah, but we know who you are, and we want to be with you. So it's like, wow. The UK, Germany, Australia, Canada, Japan, it's unbelievable the reaches that Slapshot have made. But when I went to Australia and I got more people in line than Wayne Gretzky does, I felt pretty good.
That's an iconic moment for sure. Blaze, back to you. You're a warrior, right? You're a warrior. You've talked about it yourself, and a lot of people point that out about you. What does it take to be a warrior?
Well, I believe if the conditioned state of mind that you're in has to see results, create positive results, be fearless in how you approach something unknown. Fear, failure, and fatigue can destroy people. So you build yourself. You know, you build the stamina. You take pride in your conditioning so that you can hold up for the amount of hours you need to. It's a real simple FFF, but it's critical to my longevity as a human being. Failure. I read more. I study more. I find the answers. It might take more time because I'm not as fast a reader as some other people, but there are people with brilliant understanding of their subject matter, and they're there to help me. Just like George O'Leary helped me, just like Jose St. Victor helped me in my faith. There are people that are wonderful at what they do, and if you don't know, you have to have the guts to be able to ask other people. And fear, oh man, there's no better answer than the God. There is no better answer than to know that you're never alone. And that is the greatest gift I have currently in my life is a relationship. Is it sometimes in question? Of course, I'm a human being. I want results now. I want things that I want now. I want to feel good all the time. Well, that's not the way it is. So, and when I'm scared of the things I've gone through with my brain, my brawn, my being, my loved ones, oh my Lord, that's what I reach out to for any sort of overwhelming fear in my life of the unknown. And I'm much more apt to crash forward and pull forward and push beyond if those themes are in order. People cheat them all the time. Oh, I'm smart. Oh, hell with faith. Conditioning, I'll do it tomorrow. And look at him suffer. Look at him suffer the hallways of what? This building, the smoking, and man, look at him suffer. It's your fault. No, man, it's your fucking fault. Condition yourself so that you have this clear understanding of how you're going to what? Continue to be most of the time happy in your life, at peace in your life. I mean, we're blessed people. We're very fortunate people, and I don't fear much anymore. And I certainly believe that conditioning has got me to repeat my prayers of Our Father at night, repeat the lifting each and every day, even though it's not very much. Walk my dog morning, noon, and night to make sure I get her exercise as well as myself. Turn it into something fun, not miserable, and celebrate every day that, man, the lady I'm married to. If I'm in question, there's my leader for 30 plus years. There she is. Every one of us, man. That's a reminder of conditioning. I'm not going to just do it and let you sit there in the chair. Get your ass up and come with me. That's a real good thing to have, and I'm forever grateful.
Thank you for sharing that. As we wrap it up, because the sessions are wrapping up in a few minutes, I want to both wrap this up by asking you, I'll start with you, Dave. You got a big legacy as an athlete and a guy who's in a great movie. A lot of people recognize you. You traveled the world. What do you want to do next? Where do you see the future of your life here after having so many iconic moments?
Well, the one thing that I came to realize through what the Hanson brothers can do and the famous slap shot is help others. I've had the fortune of going to little dinky farm towns like Redverse, Saskatchewan, and if you've ever been to Saskatchewan, it's one of those things where if you look far enough out, you see the back of your head. I mean, it's just flat. But we went into this little community in Redford, Saskatchewan, of a farming community that was desperately trying to save their curling rink. And we went up there and helped them raise money to do that, to the other extreme, where we go down to California and play in Anaheim in front of a packed house and raise $500,000 for the Southern California fire victims. So, and everything in between that. So, to recognize and have the opportunities to do that over all these years for many, many people has been a blessing in my life. And it's one of those things I want to continue to maintain. Now, of course, now I have grandchildren, so they take up a slew of your time. And everybody knows that traveling is not fun anymore. So it's a matter of getting there and having fun and then having to go through the pains getting back. But I would hope to be able to do that as much as I can.
Nice.
We're coming up a few more years. It'll be the 50th anniversary of Slapshot. I got a feeling that may turn into some kind of a big deal on some grand scale, but I hope it turns into a big deal to where it'll help benefit others. So that's the kind of thing that I enjoy to do. I enjoy to meet people. It's the first time I met Blaze, listen to his story. People like him are inspirations, and others that I've met throughout my years. I just want to do that for as long as I can, and as long as my hair hangs out.
Perfect. Blaze, for you?
Well, a lot of people, other than football players or fighters, know that I master 5 disciplines. It's taken 40 plus years to master 5 disciplines, but I've always had a great love for fighting. And if I had it all over to do, I certainly would not pursue football. I pursue MMA, and I just enjoy that an awful lot. I enjoy the precision. And so I developed my own discipline for football, and I share that discipline for football players in their sport. So I've trained coaches and players all over the country. I continue to want to motivate people. Please keep my name in mind. I love traveling. I love to see the world, and I love to meet new people and share a journey that in the long run is probably similar in some ways to your own. And the last thing for me is I'm a groupie with my wife. I will travel. I will travel everywhere I can to support that young man, because that is a talented dude who deserves the absolute best. He is a talented singer-songwriter. He moves me to the bone. And to see him up there fighting for what he wants, I love being down in the pit. My wife and I watching him from New York to L.A. to Sturgis will be fun. To Chicago next week, here now. It's really awesome to be a part of rock and roll. I love rock and roll, so I appreciate that an awful lot, and I really am glad to spend time with this gentleman, because I admire people that are warriors themselves, and I'm forever grateful to all of you for coming in.
Thank you. On a personal note, everybody, as we wrap it up, my son's here. I love the family connection. 26 years ago, I met my wife as a stranger walking into this building to see the Rolling Stones. They never played this place. They never played it since. If I didn't meet her, if she was on the other side of the bar, I never would have met her. That's one of the reasons my son is here. Right around that time, I went to a memorabilia signing and didn't know, right at the same time, the Hanson brothers were there. And I said, you know something, I want to get these guys autographed. This movie had an impact on my life, and they signed it.
Crazy,
And now I'm here in my town working for the Raiders at SEICon. I meet these two gentlemen for the first time. Had the opportunity to be here with you. Let's hear it for our guest panel again, everyone.
Thank you. Good job.
Good job.